Good afternoon, my luminaries and mysterians. I am Michael Conway, the illumANark, and I am straight back from the time tunnel. Oh, it was a hell of a trip. I need my oxygen again. So, and I understand I may be rambling. I might be rambling, so this is a rambling warning. Rambling warning. Rambling warning. So, my luminaries, mysterians, and those who may have found me through Anchor or any of the other social media that I am out on, hello. I am, like I said, Michael Conway, the illumANark, and we're here just to talk. Now, what are we going to talk about? Well, a couple things. For one, honestly, I really I'm at this point where I was at my therapist's office, and there was this little upside down triangle that was a rainbow, rainbow colors, and had a very strange pictograph on it that was that I understand to be kind of a good definer of the lesbian, queer, spectrum of stuff. But let's just get down to it, folks. Biologically, you're equipped with one or two pieces of equipment. You either got the output or the input. Now I know that there are historical points where men have even been able to give milk in their day when they had to feed an infant child. That doesn't mean the equipment's not there, it's just not accessorized the same way as it is on women. Women is meant to be something to draw the child to and make it more accessible and easier to. But they're still biologically, you either get the woo-dangle or the woo-dang. That's it. That's it. You don't have. Last time I checked, there's nobody who can drop their drawers and have a lampshade. So, that's my. I tried to explain to my therapist that I was not offended by the people or their chosen actions. When they keep them alone and private, I really am not gonna sweat it. But don't force it on me. I'm not required to know or have intimate details of your. Because, like I said, I just came back through the time tunnel from the Starship Second Prize. And I have to say, there are two futures that are desperately dangling, and one is becoming so much more likely. And it's a terrifying one. It's one that Orwell would have been scared to express. And that is not just a monitor state, not just a state where a semi-fascist or fascist regime exists. It's a realm where far, far darker, where we're damn near drawn back into the Dark Ages by the need to tear everything apart. A lot of people who say, "Oh, well, communism is better," then explain why it hasn't worked for a single communist country in the world. All right, not as a 200-year plus experiment. Free market, that makes sense. But sometimes I understand that free market can get out of its hand by human greed. But that's not the same as what happened under communist rule in Russia. The kulaks, they were a people who honestly were prosperous. They were prosperous farmers. But the thing was is that they were told that the people were told that they are evil because obviously they're taking advantage to get their benefits. Their, but yet it was the sweat of their brow and their knowledge that they had gone from generation to generation, passing down. And by eliminating that whole class of very efficient farmer working class, the Russian people starved under the Russian regime. It's just now the regime itself still stands, but they've tried to kind of balance some mishmash between kind of somewhat free market and kind of somewhat not. China's like understands that communism is a cash hungry beast, and that you have to bring money in, and that the only way to bring money in to as assets is for them to be from elsewhere, which means you have to have an open marketplace to sell things. You can't just make stuff and distribute it. Now, I have a friend who loves to tell me about how much greater it would be if mankind realized they didn't own anything. And yes, if mankind as a whole realized they don't own the land, they don't own the right to pillage it, they don't own the right to destroy it, they have a responsibility to maintain it, then yes, it would be a much better world. Everybody had the TV they wanted, everybody had the stuff they wanted and needed. But humans are not that smart. Just in general. So that leaves me with, watching. When I went to the therapist and I saw the symbol and the little upside down triangle, I realized it's becoming fascism itself. Now, if you want to say it's a safe zone to discuss these things, that's fine. But don't force it on me. And the thing is this country is getting onto forcing and enforcing the way people think. And that is not right in any scope. There's no part of you have a right to tell me how to think inside my head. Okay? You have no right to tell me what's in my head. Okay? You're not a telepath, and even if you were, you can't tell me what's in my head. Because what's in my head can't be necessarily what you are able to perceive. I may have deeper thoughts than you're crediting me with by reading my mind. So guess what? Since we don't have telepaths, we can discard with that portion of the stupidity. That still leaves us with this divisive thought process that people are identities because they're black or white or gay or straight or male or female. Nobody is defined by those categories at work when they're doing a job. But the thing is, more men will work in construction than women. Is that because there's an inequity in the job market? No, it's just women are not interested in slinging concrete block. Cinder block hasn't been around for quite some time. But concrete block or bricks, or holding a 2x12 laminate stud, or I shouldn't say stud, ridge board. All right, that is actually 3 2x12s with some plywood between them, all lag bolted together, and it's 1,200 pounds, and it's supported at the one end by a dead man, and somebody has to hold it in place on the other end so that it can be screwed into place and stuff. Guess what? Not a lot of women want to do that. Okay, well, I know women who are scientists. Does every woman want to be a scientist? No. That doesn't mean that women don't deserve the right to be a scientist. It just means most women aren't interested. So, inequality and inequity are not the same thing. Okay? Men and women are equal in rights in this country. Gays and straights are equal in rights in this country. Especially now that they have the right to marry, which I honestly am somewhat against. Okay? Marriage is really meant about propagation of the society. Gays and lesbians cannot propagate the continuation of society in perpetuity. They can't. It's impossible. Now, if they adopt a child, they can pass on some of their world on. But physically, it is impossible for a same-sex couple to produce a child of their own right. Okay? You can't have two mommy's eggs. You can't have two daddy's sperms. You can only have daddy's sperm and the mama egg, and they have to get together. Okay? So, this whole thing about, like, there's inequality is not, it's not even working in as far as intelligence is required, because there is no pay gap when, because honestly, there'd be no business in the world that would hire a man if they could hire a woman cheaper. Okay? If they could pay a woman less, they wouldn't hire men. Okay? They would hire who was qualified to do the job and who could do it the most inexpensive way possible. So the workforce would be full of women, and men would have a hard time getting into the market until they got their price into the market, which means the women would be setting the market, not the men. So really what it is it's the demands of the business and your capacity to fulfill the job offered. That is nothing to do whether you have, women breasts or man breasts. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with, can you do the job? Oh, look at that. I've just finished my lovely I'm playing Eve Online, which honestly I have to say it is honestly to play this game full time, it is a full-time job. Because you really have to keep on it to keep the things rolling, and it's amazing. I've never seen anything like it. So, with that being said, back to the subject at hand. There's no pay gap that exists. There are differences between, men who will usually work more overtime. Okay? I have a friend who's working 60 hours a week now. 60, 65 hours a week. Because here in Montana, there's negative unemployment. There are more jobs available than there are people to fill them. Why? Because that's just the way it is. That is the way Montana is. Alright? And there are a lot of low-level jobs jobs at McJobs, in fact. But even McDonald's is willing to pay like 11 and change an hour if you're willing to show up for the job, and 12 if you're willing to be openly available. So, you know, that's not chump change, but no, it is expensive to live here. But I've seen that in a couple of places in the country because people can't convince you to go back to doing this McJob, which is one of the reasons why they'll stop being cashiers at McDonald's eventually, because they're already testing kiosks, which have dropped order mistakes dramatically. So if the human's not making a mistake in the order, look at that. My alarm's going off. Woohoo! Oh, look at that. Upside down. Anyway. You know something? McDonald's is already testing kiosks in some stores for ordering, which means the only people that are there are going to be the ones making stuff and handing you stuff, and that's it. That eliminates a whole line of people, and it reduces the likelihood of a mistake on the order dramatically. So, what does it leave us with? It leaves us with I can't believe that there are these jobs that are going to be offered, but nobody can fill them, so they're going to fill them with machines, and then when they fill them with machines, you're going to say, how dare they put us out of work? And it's like, well, if you're not showing up, if you're not doing the work, and they need the work done, they're going to put a machine in place. And this was true back with CNC machines. My dad, not my father, the man who helped, birth me, create me. And then my dad, a man who kind of straightened my head up on a couple of things. My dad told me about how he was put out of work by CNC machines because he was a pattern maker for Chrysler. He used to make like the dashboards, the initial dashboard that they used as the pattern to make the dashboards, and how it had to be ultra fine within thousandths of an inch. Thousandths of an inch. And was it the fact that he was unskilled? No, he was excellent at his job. He's one of those men, even blind, he can do work better than most men who required that when they required that kind of exactness. Things must be, fit perfectly. He's a very, very exacting man. Well, why was he put out of work? Because what took him 2 weeks to do by hand, a CNC machine could do overnight in the weekend. They put it in Friday, they come in Monday, it's already made. Take him 2 weeks and it had to be perfect. And it was a lot of sanding and scraping and stuff to get it absolutely perfect to the exact parameters that were set. And did that happen? Yes, flawlessly. My dad was meticulous as they come. But CNC machines could do it faster and as accurately as he could. Okay, I can't say more accurately, but I can say as accurately. Okay, as accurate. So Saturn, the one who really pioneered using CNC machines in their construction products, or in their construction of their products, is, put a pattern maker, a man who with a very exclusive set of skills, highly technical skills. He was out to the field. Now this is, I know, different from the subject I was speaking of earlier. So please forgive me. But this is also the point that people are going to be replaced. So you better learn up how to provide a service or provide a product and be able to effectively keep yourself employed, because jobs won't exist for very much longer. It's going to be a matter of you're employed or you're not. And a lot of people will be in the not, because if they choose to whine about how their job disappeared, well, you were replaced by something more efficient and, well, cheaper. Because though the expense may be more upfront, they'll work tirelessly, never take a day off, never call in about being sick, never take time to grab the kids because they were sick in school. Okay, and I'm not just talking women. Men are affected by those issues as well. I was a single dad. Quite a few times, sadly. I know I tried to do right by my kids. And here we digress. Digress again. I know we're digressing, but here is the point of this digression. Is that people better start looking at how they take care of themselves. This is the age of empathy. This is the age of concern for your fellow man. This, as the illumANark, is going to be my rising time. Why? Because I believe in enlightened acts of random kindness. I believe in empathy as the pinnacle of what I'm thinking. It is the top thing on my thought process. Taking care of my fellow man. You know something? I love all of humanity as a whole. I hate people, though. I like individuals, but people, as a group, as a pack, are dangerous, panicky creatures. So here's the thing. Work towards helping one person each day. Somebody that you normally, it's not somebody that you're doing everything for in a particular day. I'm talking about finding one individual. And sometimes it's as little as just saying hello. Sometimes it's just reaching out to help someone lift something that was just heavier than one person should lift. Maybe it's just as simple as helping an elderly woman or an elderly man across the street. Yeah, that makes us kind of like Boy Scouts. But the fact is, that is the age of mankind we're in. We're not in an age, we have gotten to the point where all of our knowledge is commoditized. You can go on the internet and you can find out anything. Anything. What do you need? What do you want? What do you need to know? How are you doing? How well are things going? Well, that's all commoditized. So now it's individuals. And, I'm reminded by a movie I happen to enjoy. I forgot the title of it now. It's a zombie flick, sadly enough, about a boy who's a zombie who gets better. Okay? He just becomes more aware of his world around him. And that is vital. Is that the girl in the movie, the love interest of the young zombie boy, whom helps him warm up to becoming human again. It's interesting because she flashes back to a time and she shows everybody with their personal idiot boxes about how connected we were and about how involved we were with each other. Oh, yeah, did you mean you? The person I could see in front of me? No, she was talking about somebody on the amazing World Wide Web, or, is that the information superhighway? Oh yeah, now I'm dating myself because that's a term that was, really in place long before the World Wide Web was really even 10% of what it is today. You know, we've produced more content in the last week than the entirety of human history from the earliest records until the year 2000. You know, in the last week, we've probably created more gigabytes and terabytes of information than existed in the understanding of the entirety of human history up to the year 2000. Why is that? Because we are consummate consumers. We're going to throw out information. Well, here we go. This is me throwing out information. This is showing my head. This is showing how I feel, how I am pressed upon. Do you realize this probably, since this is actually the second take, with the time tunnel behind me. And the second take, I was exhausted by this point in the first take. I had to take several hours before I could get to this take. That's because I'm easily winded. Oh, look, my ship is done. So, yeah, I have to say, it is important that we sit there and take care of one another. So, wait a minute, what am I doing? Oh, that one. I want to orbit that one. And lock on it and fire away. See? Telling you. Eve is a full-time job, for crying out loud. You know, it's amazing. I've never seen a game that requires so much attention. And then at the same diametrically opposed moment, I also know that there's a game I love that doesn't nearly require this much micromanagement, which is Black Desert Online. But that's a role-playing game. Well, this is a role-playing game as well. You're a pilot, so capsuleer, as they put it. So, with that being said, I have to bid you a fond-adieu, and not a fondue, and a fond adieu, and say that this is Michael Conway, the illumANark, signing off after another rolling rant and ramble, and as we go around, as I was discussing the thoughts of my head. And you know something, maybe it's because I suffer PTSD, maybe it's because I'm actively distracted by my world, maybe it's because, who knows. With all that, I have to say, peace out. Peace out to you always. Peace out to you today. Peace out to you tomorrow. Peace out to you always. And as always, peace out.